Hello guys, welcome to part 2 of how to create Flappy Bird in Java from scratch, and hopefully in this video we are going to make a really good progress and have our game 70% complete or 80%. Okay. Alright, so where we stopped. Oh, before we start the video, let me show you a cool game I made this weekend, and I would like your, if you're seeing this video, of course, tell me what you think about this game that I made. It's a little pinball game that I made, trying to make a clone of the Atari. If you know Atari, the one of the first video games ever, and this is what I came up with. It's really cool. I have the uh, gravity, scores. Yeah, it's a pretty cool game. I'm really happy with it. Maybe in the future, I can make a series teach you how to build this game. As you can see in the our bar here is a perfect collision detection. And yeah, this is my game. I'm still working on it. So yeah, so let's start it. Let me close here and go to our actually game that we are making. Here, I'm going to open my project. Flappy. Let me see where we stopped. Play. Okay, we just have a window here. So what I'm going to do, what we are going to do now is, alright, we have the render system already. Let me check. No, we don't have the render system. So we are going to use our the same render system that we made the last time in our Pac-Man series, and we are going to use a buffer for that. So what we are going to do here is create a new object, buffer strategy BS, and get our current buffer strategy. Alright, I don't have buffer strategy, so Ctrl Shift O to import, and all good. So let's check if our BS is going to be null. We are going to create our buffer strategy, and you can put 2 here or 3, okay, which one you prefer. If you put 2, you're going to have 2 buffers, and 3, you're gonna have 3 buffers. I usually use 3, okay, and let's return. So the next time we go to the render system, we are going to have already the buffer strategy. So let's create a graphic object, and from our buffer let's get our draw graphics. Okay, import graphics, Ctrl Shift O. Sorry, and make a dispose here, and for the last bs.show to show what we render in the screen. The first thing I'm going to do here is fill our window with some color to always clean our what we have and draw again. That's how it works. So I'm going to be using black. We can change this later for a cooler background. And G dot. Let's fill a rectangle here. Position 0, 0, and value flappy dot width and flappy dot height. Let's run to see if it is okay. Okay, so we have a background black. Next, let's create the room class. So create a new class, and I'm going to call this room. Alright, my Eclipse is weird and I can't find the class button here. Okay, whatever. So in our room, we are going to handle the tub generation for the Flappy Bird, that our bird can't collide, and yeah, that's basically that. So let's create a constructor here, and we need a constructor. Okay, from now just let's create a update method and the render method, right? Is the graphics G. Let's import graphics G. What we need in the room is we are going to use a rectangle for make the tubs. You can now, if you watch my Pac-Man series, you know probably how to load sprites, and you can load sprites here if you want. But I'm going to use rectangle for remake the principal things first for the game. All right. So let's create a private array. No, let's make this public. All right. A public array list using rectangle, and let's call this tubes. We don't have array list, let's import Ctrl Shift O. Alright, so what else? Let's create the constructor here, and let's initialize this. Tubs equal new array list. Okay, so let me think. In the constructor you're going to make, I'm going to, when I make the instantiate this object here, the room class, I want in the constructor we can set the time that when we want to respawn our tubs. Okay, so I'm going to set int time, and here private int time, and this, oh my god, this dot time is gonna be equal time, right? In the update method now, let me see, create another one called private int current time with default 0. So each update, let's increase 1 plus plus, and if our current time is going to be equal our target time that we have here, so create our new tube, simple as that, and let's reset the time. Okay, what else? Let me see, let me put as default here the color for our stub as blue, and here for int y is equal 0, I is less than tubes dot size I plus plus. We want a rectangle g dot fill rect. Let's create a local rectangle for to get our current rectangle that we are looking in this for loop, and tubes dot get y. So the position we want is rect dot x, rect dot y, rect dot height, rect dot width. You are going to see how simple it is to make this game. You are going to see. So I mean, I could create a special class for the tubes, but let's use only rectangle and deal with all these objects right here in the end of our update method. So let's copy this for loop, and what are we going to do? Let's get our current rectangle that we are looking for, and rect dot x minus equal, let's create another variable here for the speed. Current speed is equal 10 speed. Alright, so let's create now a room object here. I'd like to put it here. Let's make this let's make this public room and room. So our room is going to be a new room, and in the parameter here is the time we want for when the tubes are going to be created. So We know that our game run at 60 FPS here as we when we make the game loop. So I want the tube to spun like in, let's try 20, like almost half second. Let's try half second. Alright, so we know that 60 is 1, so let's try half. Alright, so so we can call our room dot update and room dot render. Right, so let's run. We don't have nothing, obviously. Now we are going to start to create the tubes for the game. Let me think how. I don't need to think. I already made the Flappy. I always made the game first before I start the new series, but there's sometimes since I code this project here, I need to remember how I've done that. I don't want to pause the video. I want to try to remember. This is good for practicing. So how did I make that? Okay. Let me see. Okay, let's create our x1 equal game dot, no, it's Flappy, our main class. Flappy dot width. Yes, Flappy dot width. And y1 always gonna be 0. uh, the width is always gonna be the same, so it's gonna be, let's try 20. And now the height. So the height, let's use, do you have any idea if you are going to use to make the height? Of course, we are going to make this random, as 90% of the games use random values to make these stuffs. So let's create here private random and random. Import random is new random. Right? So now what we want our random value from 0 to our game dot, no, oh man, Flappy dot height divided by 2. Alright, let's call this high 1. So our next okay, let's move this. Use this as y, because this is never gonna change. These both values are the same. So we already have one tube here. So we have the x position, we have the width that is the same for both of them. We have the y, that the y1 the y is gonna be different for the rectangle. So now we want the y2 of our next rectangle is gonna be the high 1 plus private int, no, private final int space, I know the space tubes space try I know that underline, we don't use underline in Java. Okay, whatever, we don't need pretty code. So high 1 plus space tubs. This as default is have to 64. This is the space between the tubs that we have from one to another. So as higher as this value is, easier is going to be our game. Okay. So Our height is going to be our height 2 is gonna be our Flappy height minus y2. Yeah. Now what do we do? Let's add to our list tubes dot add new rectangle. Uh, now it is x y1 width and high one. There are so many ways of doing this. Now I will do here change to y2 and high 2. So if I run our game now, hopefully we are going to have tubes. So let's test it. No, 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 that's not good. It's not good, man. This is the last thing I want to this game, man. Oh, let's see how long. Okay, 16. What I did wrong here. Current time is equal our time. Current time plus plus. No, I don't need to reset my time. I need to reset my current time. Alright. So x is equal our width. My width is my. Let's make this final. Final int width tubs is, let's call this, let's make 32, right? So we don't need this, we know that it's always gonna be 0, so change this to 0 0 with underline tubes, with underline tubes. Right, so let's see now what I done wrong. Okay. It's always gonna be 0 2. We don't need this. What we need is our height that we made, and this is right. So height 1 and my y 2 gonna be my high 1 plus space 2. This is right. What I did wrong here? Okay, so I here is supposed to be the width and this is the height. I'm so stupid. Let's run and hopefully now it is working. What I'm doing? Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. This is not 0. This is gonna be our flap dot width. We want this span at in the end of our screen. Okay, so this is gonna be flap dot width and high 0 width. Hopefully now this is gonna work. So let's run. Yes, this is working, but no one can play a game at this speed. It is almost impossible to play, but yeah, we have our system working now, finally. I'm such a noob sometimes. Why is that? Oh god. Alright, so let me see. First, let's change our this too fast. I wanna 1 each second. We are gonna have one tube span and the space between them. No, our speed. Let's change this to weight. I think it's better. Let's run. This is better. This is still pretty fast. Let's stay with 4. A good speed. Yes, now he can play. It's still really hard. Okay, you can play around with these values to see which one fits you better, and for now we are going to stay like that. So next step, uh, always that when we spun the tube, we don't need the tube anymore after he goes out of the screen. So these only are going to lag our game. So what you're going to do here is, let me check. You can use the same for loop. So if our hacked dot x is going to be plus hacked dot width is less or equal to 0, we're going to remove. So tubes dot remove y minus minus. So what I'm doing here is basically removing our current tube, and for I don't have problems with the with the with this loop, because we are removing, because after we remove this, all of our objects in the list are going to change the ID, as we can say. So I'm backing -1 value for we can keep with the loop. Alright, so yes, and let's continue. This is the best way of doing that. Let me see now. Now we need the bird and the collisions. Default reversion. I hate these warnings. Alright, let's save it. Let's see now. I still think this is pretty hard. Let's make a space. No, 96 is a good. I think this is the value I use for my when I made the first time. It's too hard. Let's make this 80. Okay, now he can play. Good. Next step is our bird. So create a class and let's call this bird. Eclipse is so weird sometimes. I don't know why I have duplicate class here, but they are the same. This is the same as this. I didn't make two classes. Okay, so now let's extend rectangle. Let's import rectangle and our constructor. Let's make the constructor here. And what we want are start position x and start position y. Let's call the set bounds of the rectangle class to make this value. So x, y, 32, 32. Right? Default serial version, for we don't have warnings, and we need a public void update, and as usual public void render. Let's call graphics G, and let's make a ball for now. Green. G dot fill oval x y width and height. True. Let's go to our main class, and alright, let's call this object. Alright, let's create a Flappy. No, I don't want a true Flappies. I want a bird. Public bird, and let's create a position. I think 20, and let's try our height divided by 2. Let's call the here in the update method, right? And let's render. Let's see where it is. Okay, we have a ball now. Now our ball needs to have some actions. Let's already implement the key listener. Is going what we are going to be used. All right. We are implementing key listeners, so we need the unimplemented methods for we can manipulate our keys when they are pressed and when they are released, and types we don't use. So let's make this. All right. We need a pressed and released. Let's change this to E. It's better. And for variables here, we need the let's call this speed, and let me think. Let me think. Let's use 4, and let's create another. Now it's gonna be public because we need to access here in the our main class, and let's call is pressed equal false as default, and that's so simple. So if is pressed, y minus equal speed. If it's not pressed, let's make our bird go down. We could add gravity here, but for now, no gravity. Perhaps I add gravity in the end of the video, but let's just test like this. Okay, so now if I'm going to use the arrow up for control the bird. So if our e.getKey code is going to be key event dot wiki underline up, what we want bird dot is pressed is equal true, and when we released, simply set this to false. Alright, now we need to add for our canvas, we need to add support for the key listener. So all you do is you go to here and add a key listener. What? Okay, I need the argument. So I'm going in this class, at the same class we are going to add, because we have the interface here. Alright? So let's test it. I'm gonna run. You can see we have a basic Flappy Bird here that we already can play. Really cool, huh? I think this is cool. Now, what do we need to make the basic to finish the gameplay? We need collisions. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. Let me think. As you can see, this game is so simple. We only have 2 classes here, and we have a complete game. You you have a complete Flappy Bird. Of course, you can add sprites and personalize your game with background and add some floor, and I'm going to leave this with you. I want you to practice. Alright, so now let me think. Now we need collisions. A smart way of doing that. Let's create a private array list of rectangle. Let's call this tubes, and in the parameter here, let's pass an array list of rectangle and tubes. Great. Import this dot tubes is gonna be is equal to the tubes. So now what we're going to do, let's make a for loop. If int y is equal 0, I is less than tubes dot size I plus plus rectangle. No, I don't need this. Let's just if this dot, I'm going to use the intersect method of the rectangle, and let's check with the tubes dot get dot y. If intersect, let's just close our program. And yeah. So here, as we add another parameter here, you're going to pass. So we want the tubes of our room. So all we do here is comma and room dot tubes. Yeah. So I think it's gonna work. Let's play and test. Dun, dun, dun. We can, if we collide the game close. Okay. Yes, it is working. So we have a Flappy Bird, a collision system, and yes, let's see how long. Oh, 30 minutes. Okay, let me think. It's gonna be the this series is gonna have the last part. It's gonna be the part 3, obviously this is the part 2, and in the part 3 we are gonna add sounds for the game, make some sprites. As homework, I'm gonna give you guys, I want you make your own sprite sheet with the birds and the tubes. Alright, yeah, this is your homework. So yes, we have the basic Flappy Bird mechanics here. You already can play. And oh, another thing, we are gonna make also a game over screen for the game, and a start screen too. So yeah, if you like the video, please leave a like. This helps the channel a lot, and subscribe for you always I always post new videos. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys at the next